It's day 3 on the Via Transilvanica for backpacking and brews, Paul and Tammy. It's 8:30 in the morning approximately, and we just are leaving the town of Vatra Moldovitei and heading south towards Sadova today, which is, I think, anywhere between 13 and 14 miles, but elevation gain is a little significant, at least 3,000 feet. So, tough day. It was a tough day yesterday. A lot of elevation gain. And we had over 13 miles that we did. And real muddy on those logging trails and the forest trails, forest roads. So we'll see what today offers. It's about 30 some degrees right now, kind of cool, nice sunny day. Weather's supposed to be sunny, then a little cloudy toward the end. High of 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And what else? I think that's it for now. So here's the beginning of the trail coming out of Vatra Moldovitei. Just another dirt road. We left the town now and crossed over the river. Here's an interesting tidbit since we are backpacking and brews. So went and got some beer at a market last night, and there were some gentlemen sitting outside the market drinking Italian beer. So I went inside and I bought some German beer, which was called Bergen beer. And then they also talked about having some other kind of beer, but it seems folks aren't too interested in the Romanian beer. When I asked about it, they said, kind of shook their head no, as if it's not that good. So, kind of interesting. Oh, and I forgot to say, so it's the 5th of April, and today is Easter, at least the Catholic Easter. I think Catholic. Next Sunday is Orthodox Easter, which is what is more celebrated here in Romania than today. And just a tidbit of logistics. So we knew Easter was coming when we first started our trip, and we weren't sure about where we were going to stay. So we booked our lodging through 11 days on the trail just to be sure that we'd have places to stay during this holiday period. We weren't exactly sure what was going to be open and what wasn't going to be open. So hopefully that helped us a bit. But of course, now we got to keep to that schedule. Also, yesterday, coming into Vatra Moldovitei, just on top of the hill, we saw our first bear track. I'll have to show you the picture later, but we had heard that there are grizzly bears around here. We've seen the warning signs. We have not seen any bears yet, but we did see some bear tracks. It looked like it was a couple days old, judging by the looks of it. And we're also seeing roebuck deer tracks and what looked to be maybe a possum or a raccoon track, also in the mud. Exciting stuff. Okay, hello again. So here we are, heading up this forest road right by this beautiful creek. And so, why the Via Transilvanica? Well, as I mentioned before, we've completed other long distance hikes in other countries, England, France, Switzerland, the United States, Germany, a little bit of Italy, a little bit of, we talked about Switzerland already, Spain. So we've sort of always been interested in Eastern Europe. My wife was stationed in Berlin back in the 80s before the wall came down. So we're kind of interested and curious what it's like over here, and started exploring. Of course, use Google and look for long distance hikes in Eastern Europe, and the Via Transilvanica popped up. Fairly new trail. It's a little bit longer than we've ever done before, over 850 miles, but it was kind of fit what we're interested in, and that's why we're here. Oh, I forgot one of the most important reasons for doing the Via Transilvanica. So as a tail end of baby boomer growing up in the 60s and 70s in the United States, who didn't watch all of those monster movies? Frankenstein, Werewolf, and Dracula. So to get an opportunity to walk through where Dracula was sort of born, how exciting is that? So a little bit of logistics. So we're climbing up this hill in a forest, but lots of farmland. Very, very pretty, very rural, I think. Logistics. So we stayed last night at a place called the Villa Transilvanica. Normally, we look for a place to stay on booking.com to start out with. And if we can't find anything there, which was the case last night in Vatra Moldovitei, we used the guidebook and Google Maps to try to find lodging accommodations. So the Villa Transilvanica, we found, contacted them via WhatsApp on the number they were provided. They were in there. Contact them, and that's how we stayed there last night. It was 200 RON for a night's stay. We didn't have dinner there last night because basically the packed lunch the other place gave us was our dinner. It was just so much food. But we did have breakfast this morning, which was more than enough for breakfast and lunch. And we packed some of that for lunch today. And lunch was 35 euros, RON per person. So altogether, the stay there was 270 RON. Really nice place, nice host, friendly, very accommodating. And we were finding, as it's early in the season, a lot of places aren't even open yet. So that might be why we didn't find anything on booking.com at this time. So just past kilometer marking 47, walking through these sort of mountain pastures and farms. Beautiful area, nice weather, and we're seeing more dogs, which is kind of pleasant because they're being polite. We heard that there are dogs on the trail or along the trail, and some aren't so nice, but so far we've only met happy ones. Whoa, 50 kilometers down. Boy, that is quite an ascent coming up to that. I'm not sure how many feet elevation we just gained, but it is really steep. Again, no switchbacks here. So here's a shot of where we're headed. Downhill. Downhill happy, as they say. Okay, at kilometer marker in between 51 and 52. So answer the age-old question. Tent or no tent? We've tented some long-distance hikes before, including the Colorado Trail, the Long Trail, the Coast to Coast. Trying to think what other ones. And on the AT, but we haven't done the whole AT, not consecutively. But for this trip, we decided to not tent. We did see that another gentleman, Paul, Adventures Over 60, you've seen his videos. He did the Via Transilvanica tenting most of the way, and we're glad we didn't, because one, we had the opportunity to stay at all these guest houses, and the rain would make things kind of miserable if we had a tent. So we decided to just do the guest house route. All right, kilometer mark 53, and it's just sun's out now. It's a beautiful day. Again, gotta appreciate the signage for the trails. Really, that's nice. Yeah, what a beautiful day, beautiful view. Feel like we're on top of a hill here. Well, we are on top of a hill. Just gorgeous. Mountain meadows, mountain pastures, farmland, rural, very pretty. I think we're headed over there and beyond. And the flowers are starting to come out. Show you a couple of these. You can see those pretty violet colored things. Not sure what they are, but they're popping out, ready for the bees to come or something to pollinate them, I think. Yeah, real beautiful. Okay, just had a steep incline. Boy, yeah, no switchbacks, just straight up. FYI, I found a walkie-talkie on the trail, and I just stuck it up here on this trail marker right here. It's hanging there. I'll let somebody else know as well. Back to tenting or no tenting. Well, Tammy and I have gone on, like I said, a few hikes. We've tented some and we've not tented some others. We've been married 32 years in July, and when we tent, we argue a lot. When we stay at the guest houses after each day, we argue a whole lot less. So happy, what do they say? Happy wife, happy life, something like that. But yeah, doing these long distance hikes, not using a tent makes life a little less argumentative.